Okay, so um, I don't know if anyone's gonna join online, but this is me trying to just start a conversation or a debate or some sort of book club for my book. What's up, Byron? I see you online, but bear with me. This is just me trying to record a video for my book club. So I'm just gonna start it off because last time I didn't get to record it. So this is me recording it, and I'm hoping my friend will log on in a little bit. He's taking a shower, but um, anyways, and I wrote a book. It's called California Dreamin', and it's book one because I'm starting book two. So my first attempt to start a book club was to format it in terms of debates because my book is written in a debate format. And it's basically a memoir. I wrote about an event that happened to me not too long ago. I wrote about it because it was super dramatizing, and I just felt like it was a good story to get out there. And I've always wanted to write. I love books, so I went ahead and wrote this story about something that happened to me. And I called it California Dreamin' because obviously I lived all over California, Southern California, now Northern California. So hence book one, California Dreamin'. But the very first thing that I got from people's reactions to the book or the story, because it's a short story. It's only 28 pages. And like I said, I formatted it in different debates, and they're debates based on a story that or memoir. So the memoir, I went ahead and told a story about having a mental breakdown that happened starting on what I believe is Valentine's Day. And the very first question that was people's concerns was if I was okay. And I'm slowly starting to go back to okay. I am very lucky to have a lot of people in my life that love me and that support me, and I have great friends that are doing their best to take care of me. And that's me going back to trying to be normal and being okay. And but anyways, that was question one after people read the story. And number two is people are a little confused. Like, I had one friend that said that he needed a little bit of more background, which I agree, which is why I'm writing book two, because if you guys want background, I can write a whole nother book on background. But book two, what I'm realizing is that I did leave out details. And there is one really important detail that I left out, and that was my husband's opinion, or like his side of the story. So that's what I'm working on right now. I'm not as talented as 50 Shades of Grey, where I can write it like in his like voice, but I did kind of do where I'm interviewing him and I'm saying what he thought. And I'm answering his questions as to what he feels is good or bad about the book. But yeah, one friend talked about it needing a little bit more background. And then another thing that someone was confused was about the whole concept of the first debate, which was whether God exists or not. Because when I went on this mental breakdown, I thought it was because I was talking way too much about God. I was talking way too much about God, and people did not like it. People did not like it. And it just caused this mental breakdown. And I debate. My first debate is whether God exists or not. And through my mental breakdown, I felt like I was given this formula. So people said that they had a hard time understanding the formula, which is basically in the book, it says that God gave us the first two ingredients, which were love, or the story of Jesus Christ gave us love and forgiveness. And I felt like I was enlightened because I came up with this really cool invention, which, if for those who have read the book, I came up with this idea that is actually being worked on right now by a 3D printer. He actually really liked the idea. He didn't think it was stupid, and he's working on designs right now to see what he can do for me, because we're going to try to get it patented tomorrow. Well, I'm going to try to submit the first part of the application tomorrow or this weekend to get it patented, so I can finally disclose it in book 2 as well. Because if you noticed in book 1, I never disclose what my idea is, because I go to Shark Tank for an audition. And in the process of preparing for it, I have all these business ventures that I want to seek out. But there's one idea that I came through when I was in the freaking shower, okay? When I was in the fucking shower, because I can fucking cuss now. Um, and I came up with that idea. And to this day, I believe I got that idea because of my social experiment, because all I did was to believe. Okay, that's all I've ever done, and I don't know if I would have came up with that idea that fast, or at the time that I did, if I wouldn't have been on this path. You know what I mean? So, anyways, book 2 is, I'm gonna disclose that idea. I just want to get it patented, and my 3D printer is helping me, and we're gonna seek it out, because I have to, like, I have to invest in it I have to take it as far as I can. And if that means re-auditioning for Shark Tank again, this time ready and not giving them some bullshit because I just wasn't ready this first time, I'm gonna go back and do it. But anyways, I talk about this equation, right? Because after this idea that I had to create this product or design this product, I started to think like, man, I really believe in God. So I started to believe that I really believe in God. And I was going to do my science experiment, right? Which is to prove that God exists. Okay? And so I came up, and during all of my journey, okay, the equation that I felt I was enlightened with was one that included 3 ingredients. Okay, the first 2 were already given to us. Okay, the Old Testament, the New Testament, they were already given to us, which was love and forgiveness. Okay, and I feel like my message, okay, or the whole purpose of my equation was the 3rd item, which is to believe, because I felt that everyone's looking for an answer nowadays, right? We're all praying for miracles. Like, how are we going to prevent a war? How are we going to stop all these shootings? How are we going to do everything that we need to do, right? People are looking for an answer. They're looking for hope. And my answer was that people needed to believe. People needed to believe in miracles all over again. Okay? And that's the 3rd ingredient, was to believe. But, like, how do you prove the theory, right? And it's all science, right? You got to use science. You need to develop a science experiment to prove that God exists. So, anyways, I lost my mind, right? I had this mental breakdown because I started to think about that science experiment, right? Like, oh, I can, like, oh my God, like it's so easy, like, people just got to stop believing in luck. Every time you have a coincidence, every time you just got to follow the science, right? Which is all I've ever been doing. And people think for some reason that I'm pretty successful. But what's up, Renee? I'm just kind of recapping on everything that we went over last time. I think it's just you now, but I did have a few other viewers. But anyways, yeah, I was trying to explain the equation, like I said. So and which I feel, right? I talk about my memoir, about how I feel that that was my message that I had to put out there, and that was my science experiment. And that through that journey, through this mental breakdown, through that whatever I felt was I was being enlightened with, was that formula, right? Supposedly during my trip. And my trip I thought was Inventor's High, right? Because I thought about this sketch, because I finally decided to start following my dream. One question was that they thought the equation was a little confusing. So I kind of made it mathematical, where you use the order of operations to kind of solve the equation. And I just said that love has to be the first ingredient, and it's always going to be the greatest ingredient, and followed by forgiveness, because I feel that when you really reach a stage of love, you can finally forgive, like you can like people say you can. And then I said that the 3rd ingredient was to believe, and I said that when you believe, it comes with 2 concepts. The first concept is that you have no fear. You stop fearing everything that's around you, because you finally are enlightened, right? And after you have no fear, you're willing to fight, because you're willing to fight for anything and everyone that's around you, you know? And that's my equation, right? So I said the love was greater than, and I don't have it with me, but love is number one, followed by forgiveness, and that will lead to truly believing in yourself, which will lead to no fear, and you're willing to fight. And that's how we were going to save the world, and that's how what was going to bring world peace, is people believing again, believing in miracles, um, and just believing in God. Um, and some, like Renee said, that he thought the equation was that I needed to explain that a little bit more, because he doesn't believe that it's so easy like that that's just gonna create world peace or save the world. And then we got into a whole debate of him thinking more of like outer peace, where I'm probably talking more about solving the problem through inner peace. So there, I felt like I threw another equation at him, like, okay, well, now we're talking about a debate between outer peace versus inner peace. And that's basically the concept behind the whole book. It's just debating, right? My first debate is whether God exists. Do you believe it or not? Right? I created a formula. We can debate the formula, whether you believe it or not, right? And that leads to that led at least me and my friend to a whole nother discussion of whether you believe we're gonna solve world peace with inner peace, solve the, or gain world peace with inner peace or outer peace. Um, but like I said, I have a few debates in there. I also talk about the whole parenting and gun control debate that's out right now. It's very, very popular. And I feel like that also attributed to my mental breakdown, because I start the story on Valentine's Day. And I have a lot going on right now. I have an eighth grader, that I love very much, and that I am freaking out about high school for him right now. And, I'm working. I have student loan debts. Like, I'm under a lot of stress. So on Valentine's Day, when there was another shooting, it did something to me. Like it did something to me where it set me on like this, I don't know, like it contributed to my mental breakdown. And that is why I felt like that debate was really important, and why I put it in there, because I feel like everyone's arguing and everyone's fighting over the same thing. And we all agree on the same thing. It's just that people are not communicating effectively. And that's what it's all about. It's all about communication. And Republicans, what they're doing, it's not bad. And that I need to put out there. I know I have a lot of Trump followers or voters that I need to forgive and unblock, which I plan on doing. But like I said, I had to dig deep inside me and find this, love to reach true forgiveness. And that is where I'm finally coming through, and where I'm trying to go to become like a public profile eventually, which I'm trying to do through my book, but as a parent, I definitely put that debate of gun control and parenting, because to me it's all the same. It all comes back down to the same principles of love, forgiveness, and believing. Because if you do that, you're going to do the right thing, and we're all going to do the right thing, and we're going to parent the best we can, okay? We're going to vaccinate our kids, or do the studies that we need to do to prove theories like that, whether they're right or wrong, and we're going to use science to help us get there. But that's the whole concept of my first book. Like I said, I'm writing book 2, so I can put the details that everyone wants, that people feel are missing, especially one important one that my husband brought up and that he's right about. So I will be starting the book off with his side of the story, and maybe part 2 to debate 1, which is whether God exists or not. And I will also be disclosing what the big idea, because in book 1 I put in there like I'm trying to, and like I'm just doing a memoir, and I'm trying to figure out what it was that set off this mental breakdown, right? Because there was just so many factors. But I have this invention Jarek, you're on here. And you know that me and you were coming up with all kinds of stuff, including the pharmacy industry, on how to come up, right? We were talking about making spironolactone and to like advertise it for boobs to see if we can get bigger boobs, right? The gynecomastia stuff, right?